To demonstrate that weave, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be showing you on copper wire and then some silver wire. This incidentally is fine silver wire, which is very easy to weave with because it's very malleable. If you would be doing this, you would be having a much longer fine silver wire, but this is just for demonstration purposes only. So what I've done is I've taken a length of the copper wire and just kind of folded that in half at a 90-degree angle. I've done the same over here too. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to start by just finding the center here of our 26 gauge weaving wire. I do like to weave with a 28 gauge, but I thought it would be easier for you to see this in 26 gauge. So that's why I'm going with a little bit of a thicker wire. So what I have is I'm actually taking the wire where it meets in the middle with the weaving wire and the frame wire. I'm going to bring that wire around the top of it, and I'm going to just start creating coils. These coils are just going to just fill the very top of this frame wire. And don't be too concerned about the fact that there's a gap, because you can always just take your fingernail and you can just push it in and not have to worry about that gap. Already I'm going to be pushing that in and getting rid of that gap. So I'm just bringing my wire. If you notice, I'm supporting the wire as I coil. I'm always fiddling with my wire when I make a coil here. So you know what, and this right here is mostly aesthetics as far as how far down you want to go with your coil. You'll see what I'm talking about here in just a minute. So I'm just starting here, and again, this is weaving on the bend, and so this is what I have so far. What I'm going to do is add my next wire here to this. Now, I want to point something out to you. Because we're going in two different directions here, we've got one wire that's coming on top and one wire that's coming on the bottom. So what we're going to need to do when we bring our next bent wire in, we're going to bring the one on the right side underneath and the one on the left side on top here, so that what we have looks like this, so that we can continue. Now, we've just done the coil. Now what I said is I said that your coil can be as long as you want it, or it can be as short as you want it. If I wanted to make it longer, that would just push that top off, even that top wire out a little bit more. And what's advantageous about that is you can add some jump rings, or you can add a cord by creating that space. But I'm going to bring it in just a little bit tighter here. We could still probably get a jump ring in here on that one. So with my weaving wire here on the right side, we're going to bring it on top and across. So what we're doing here is, this is the two that I was talking about, and I'm going to be bringing that weaving wire between the two wires. So I've wrapped two, and now I'm getting ready to coil two. And then I'm going to bring my wire down and around, and I'm going to create a coil then on the bottom wire. So we have that wrap around two, both wires, and then we have a coil here, a coil here. Let's go ahead and do that again. I'm going to just what I call ratchet it, or just move it a little bit just to tighten up that coil, and then I'm going to just use my fingernail and bring it up and make it look a little nicer. So we're going to wrap around two, bring it between the two wires, and then we're going to coil one, and we're going to coil one. All right, push it in. We're going to wrap around two, go between the two, and then we're going to coil one, and then we're going to coil one. And I push that up, and I'm just going to bring my wire out a little bit so I just have control of my wire. Now I want to go ahead and do the same on the other side. I'm going to wrap around both of those wires, and we're going to bring our weaving wire between the two, and as I bring it through, I'm just tightening. I'm tightening up on that wire and using my thumb, and I'm going to bring it down and then behind. I'm going to push that weave up a little bit, and then I'm going to go on top of the top one between the two wires and up again. And I'm going to wrap around both of them, come between both of them, and behind both, and then coil on the top. So it's wrap 2, coil 1, coil 1, and then push. So we have what looks something like that. Now what we want to do is we want to go ahead and add another wire. Well, how the heck do you do that? I'm going to show you. Bringing the wire in. Now this wire has a little loop in it, and the reason why I looped it is because if I don't, my weaving wire will just slip right off of the top of that. So I can loop it, or I can put a flame ball at the end of it, and I do have a video on how to do that too. But you want to be able to catch that wire so that it doesn't fall off. So see, we have all 3 wires here. Now that weaving wire is behind all 3 of these wires at this point. We're going to bring our weaving wire across the top 2 and then between the bottom and the middle, and then we're going to bring that weaving wire between the top one and the middle one, and we're just going to push it in, and we're going to bring that weaving wire down across the other 2. So what I've just done is I've just taken that wire around 2 of the frame wires on top and 2 of the frame wires on the bottom. Now we need to go ahead and coil all 3 wires. So I'm bringing my wire up, over, and in back, and in between the top and the middle wire, and over on top of the middle wire, and then down to create that coil on the middle wire. Let's go ahead and bring it behind and in front of the top wire, and then around in another coil. So now we have our 3 coils. Let's go ahead and push those up. Let's do that again. We're going to be wrapping around both of those between the top and the middle, pushing that in with my finger a little bit so that I don't have too many gaps, and then in front of and wrapping around the middle and the bottom one now. And now we come up between the middle and the bottom and around, and we're going to do our 3 coils then, coiling the bottom one, coiling the middle one, and coiling the top one. So what we have now looks like this. Let's go ahead and do that again. Only this time I think I'm going to come in a little bit closer. Now, if I want to, I can spread my wires apart a little bit. I spread them apart over here at the end and not here, because I really want my weave to be nice and tight here, unless you want a really open weave. Okay, let's go ahead and just zoom up on that even tighter so that you can really see what's going on. Wrapping around 2, coming up between the top and the middle one, and then wrapping around the bottom and the middle. We're going to bring our wire then between the middle and the bottom one, because we're going to be starting our 3 coils. Here's the first coil, and we're going to come up behind. We're going to go in, and we're going to drop our wire down, and then we're going to bring it up again, and then we're going to push it in. And there we have our 3 coils going up, and I'm going to just compress them all together. Okay, now we can go ahead and we can add our wire to this side. So let's go ahead and do this and just kind of put it all together and see what that looks like. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to bring our weaving wire up and over those two at the bottom in the middle, and then we're going to bring our weaving wire between the two, and here's where we add that third wire. We're going to be bringing our weaving wire up between the new wire we just added and the middle wire now, okay? And I'm going to bring the weaving wire around that top wire that we just added, and we're going to go behind the middle wire here, and now we're going to coil around the middle wire, up and over and around, and now let's go ahead and coil up and over and around to the bottom wire. Let's compress those. Now we've captured that piece of wire. Let's go ahead and just do a couple more. So we're wrapping around both wires, going to come in between, wrap around both wires, and then in between and around to make that coil again. And we're going to come around to the middle wire, and we're going to coil around the middle wire. And then we're going to coil around the inner wire. Let's do that one more time, just so we can just you know, be definitive that you've got that. Again, wrapping two. Now we're going to do the 3 coils. Coming in between, and we're going to 1 coil, 2 coils. I'm running out of wire here, so it's getting a little bit more challenging, and then the 3rd coil here, a little more challenging, but that's okay. And then I compress. All right, now what I want you to notice is that right here we have just a little bit, we're just a little bit lower on this side than we are on that side. So because this weaving wire is just, it was added last, we can pull that out just a little bit. I just want to show you how you can easily pull that in and out. The more you turn your weaving wire frames around, the more you will lock in that weave, and you won't be able to move those wires. But right now, while we're nice and straight, we can move those, and we can create a nice even end there. So what we have here is we have, let's just go ahead and get these wires. We have that really nice weave, and I've shown you how to do that weave and how to add another wire, and you can continue to add as many wires as you want to that to create a more fuller weave. So I'm really glad that you joined me here today. Thank you so much, and I appreciate you joining me here on my channel. If you found any value to this video, I hope that you'll give me a like or subscribe here to my channel. It's a newer channel, and I plan on doing an awful lot of wire weaving here. So if you're into wire, this is going to be a really great channel to follow. Thank you so much for joining me.